Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to be talking about the thermostat vent control system in my 1977 Ford F150, and mine has a factory air conditioning. Currently I do not have all the parts to actually make the air conditioning work, so my knowledge in that field is a bit limited. I wanted to make this video before I put back on the rest of the dash panel, and basically I've been installing a painless wiring harness kit, and it is nice. All of these wires are labeled and numbered, but the amount of knowledge and details on the ones with factory air conditioning is a bit scarce. And also just sort of wanted to talk about the tubing and stuff because I think it's a neat system that they got going, and I just wanted to talk about if anyone's having issues with their vents not working, what they might troubleshoot. What works is there's some vacuum operated stuff, which vacuum issues are a whole nother thing with the engine. And then you also have a pull cord, which is like a bike brake or something, that this pull cord goes in and out with an actual metal rod that goes out to the vent box for the heat or AC coil. And then some electronics like the blower motor controller and the AC switch. So first off, you have two tubes that come from the engine bay or to the engine bay, whichever way you want to put it. These are them going back. One of them is thicker, which is actually coming from the engine vacuum. We'll look out here quick. I know it's a mess because I've been wiring stuff, but right here is, I guess, a little mini reservoir, I want to call it. I don't know a whole ton on the system, but that's my assumption, is that it's got to be a vacuum reservoir, that this has one tube going to the engine and one tube going into the cab, and this sort of can store a bit of extra vacuum. That's my theory, at least. And then it goes right in there. What's interesting is, though, this tube that comes out, I don't know what it is. It's just capped off for me, and I'm wondering if it might have had something to do with AC at one point, or there might be another vent system I don't know about that it would trigger or pull, or I don't know. But the smaller tube that's coming back out, I don't really know what it does. So then after you go from those tubes, the larger one, let's go back in here. The larger one is split off to two tubes. So there's the larger tube coming from the engine bay, and this one is the smaller one, I believe, because it seems like this goes back and must junction somewhere, because this tube doesn't look the same in the engine side. So then this is main vacuum going up to this top, and they have these nice little silicone dealies, but hopefully yours don't break, because that seems like it'd be really hard to make something that would be an adapter for these tubes to connect onto the vent system. So this is part of the top that does the temperature for cool and warm. The green tube must trigger this vent flap. And what that vent flap does, at least, and again, it probably is different for ones that have factory AC or no factory AC, because the ones that have just heat, the box is all just right here. There's nothing in the engine side, whereas mine has this whole other compartment out there. So what this flap does, though, is it takes in air from outside through this, or it shuts and then takes in air from the cab side. It only shuts if you have this all the way on cool, or you have this switched to off. And then it basically takes in air through that duct, and it circulates in the box outside, which I can show, and then it returns through this, Right up here is your blower motor resistor, at least for me. And I reuse this factory plug. I don't know 100% which wire is which. I just tried to reconnect it as best I could from the plugs that I could find. But that's the blower motor resistor, which is for your different speeds. So chances are, if you're only able to get high and off, your resistor is blown, and that's where to look. So that's the reason why it's installed into the duct right there is to try and cool it off, and then it'll rust, and it seems like kind of a bad thought, but that's what they could pull off. I'll probably try and switch that out to something more modern if I can find a better resistor system. Then right here is your bulb also for your lights on this. So there's the bulb. This plug here, which I haven't fooled with yet, is my fuel switching system, which is kind of weird that they put it for the fuel tanks right here. And what this switch consists of is 3 and 3, I believe. Either way, what I'm assuming it does is the switch will usually switch between one leg or the other leg. And I know that this switch has to have both of the fuel tank sending units go to it, and then one wire coming out. And so the middle wire, this one, would switch between one or the other when you have main or auxiliary. And then your gauge would actually show off of the middle wire which tank you're connected to and what its level is. And then the other wires are to actuate. Yeah, so that's why it only has 2 then. It has 2 and 3. So 3 of the wires are used for the fuel sending units, and then 2 of them are to either actuate or not the fuel switching valve. Mine is electric. I noticed some of them are hydraulic, and they operate off of 2 different fuel pumps in the tanks, and mine is electric. So this switch obviously is your blower motor switch. Mine is a bit funky again since it has the factory AC. Normally this top wire here is power coming in from your fuse. Mine though goes through the AC switch as well, because for the ones with factory AC, they have this extra 3-wire plug on the bottom. And from what I can tell, the bottom one here on this corner, the orange, that's power coming in from the fuse, what would normally go to here if you just had heat. This one on the middle top is to actuate the relay, and then this green wire is going to the AC compressor. For painless wiring, they give you a relay, and there it is. I zip tied it up here. So the yellow orange wire goes to that to actuate the relay, and then once the relay is actuated, it will return the power through here. So then that powers the blower motor. And so that's just a little extra bit of fanciness that it turns off. If you have this switch to off, it actually turns off versus having to manually turn it off here. So if you have the blower on high, you can just have this off and it'll shut it off too with the relay. Underneath, you can see there's some more contacts on this block. That's the AC shut off. And that's basically as much as I've delved into that, I think. I went ahead and soldered onto some of the original wires and shrink tubed it. You can obviously do it however you see fit. This is a diagram that Painless Wiring had for their kit. So this is showing with the relay, and they make this look kind of weird and confusing, which took me a bit to decipher, because they really are very vague as far as what to do, and they don't show any pictures for this section. And I mean, this is a diagram, not a picture, so that's my point. They don't actually show what the real item looks like. What confused me is the fact this is labeled blower motor speed switch, and this is labeled blower motor speed switch. This one is the actual one that's actually blower motor speed switch, this. So if you had this part facing you, that shows that the one up here on the corner, the orange, is your power coming into it, and then that shows your blower motor low, medium, and high, and then that's going to the motor resistor. And basically these other two wires up here do connect to that post on the left through coils that slow down the blower motor. And then there's the blower motor. And I reused my original wiring harness for this part. I ripped out the wires that were needed for this, and I reconnected the original plugs and wires, because mine were not that badly damaged. And then the connection for the blower motor is made outside underneath the hood, and I can show you that quick, and also show the blower motor box. Here's what mine looks like. It's I still need to clean up some of this. This wire is not used for me right now, and neither are these two. These are just sort of dead in the water wires that they come from the AC. It has a thermostat on the inside of this box, so that's what those wires are for. Basically though, as far as the wire coming out, I put it inside of this loom, and the connection is made right here. So the black yellow wire, and then it's grounded here as well. This is how it was for me originally, so I just put it back like that. I put a lot of dielectric grease on just to try and prevent corrosion and stuff, and try and make it as best as I can. So that's what it looks like. This unit, I recommend taking it out if you're working on it. It's a major pain in the butt to try and work on inside of the cab, and I don't really see it being, I don't know. It's up to you. What I had to do, at least, I was changing the spark plugs, and I wanted some access, so I took out this, because I didn't want to fool with that, trying to get these out. But your screws for this are all on the inside, or at least they should be. Mine, somebody along the line tried to screw it in from the other side, which doesn't even make sense, because the wire, or these metal flaps that they have for the screws, can't actually latch this way. It only can go this way. And basically, if you go around, you can see there's one. I replaced my screws because they were so rusty. I didn't really want to put the old ones back in. There's what they look like. So you have one up here, this one right here. This and this are done with nuts instead. So these are permanently attached to the other side, and they feed through, and then you just have to loosen that nut and that nut. Then you have the very fun process of trying to get to that one, which is located back behind here, right there. So have fun. I had to get a few different things to try and get that out. And then that one, and then you have one more back over there, which is hard to get to as well. But if you remove this carefully, this rubber from the side of this, you should be able to access that barely. And then once you have all of those off, this cover and that and everything should come off. There's also a screw or you should have more than one screw. I only have one screw that works right here and up here to secure the inner vent on. Mine, the plastic is broken though, so only one screw will really thread. Once you do that, then you probably have to loosen this, or remove the valve cover. So take your pick, and then you should be able to finally pull this thing out. So if you don't remove either that or the valve cover, then you're probably going to be stuck with the width of the blower motor housing. And then down here is where your wires come into your motor box. This is it. It goes down there and then they feed across. For the AC, they have a couple wires, and then for the blower motor, they have 2 wires, obviously. And then you have 2 coils for this. So if you remove this box, or you go the route of trying to service it from the inside, either way, you have to take out the AC coil, which is in front. This is the pull cord I was sort of talking about and showing. This is on the warm or cold, and this switches a vent inside, which either sucks through the heat if it's open, or it closes and only sucks through the AC coil. And obviously if the AC is just off, then that's just sort of whatever air you're pulling in from the outside or from the cab. So that's how this works. I lubricated everything to try and make it work as best as I could. But either way, once you pull this out, you have to take out more screws, which secure the AC coil on the sides and the top and the bottoms, and just check everything. And then you also have those, those are where the AC should be connecting, but obviously I don't have working AC. And then these 2 are your heat connections. And so then you can remove your heater core, and I put on some new thermal, I don't know, insulating pads or whatever you want to call them to make it nice and snug. Then put it all back in, and it is working, but it is a major project to try and get that whole thing working. So hopefully your heater core isn't bust, because it's a major pain. Then let's keep talking about the valves. We already talked about that this green one, I believe, triggers the shut valve over here. And then brown tube, we don't know what it does. And then down here you have the rest of your tubing connections. The green tube connects down into that. It just makes a loop. And I don't know if there's really a good way to show it. Basically, from the right to left, you have a red tube, a blue tube, a orange-ish tube, white tube, green from the top. Then you have the black, this is the vacuum, and then you have yellow. And then as far as actually looking in, down there is the other valve. And so that valve controls between the defrost and the feet heat. And then the valve in here switches between a chamber for these or for the back. And so if that one is triggered for these, it doesn't give any error to the side that does the defrost and the feet. And so that one has to be shut the other way to actually give any blower power to the defrost and the feet. So it's a bit quirky the way they got it to work, but let's talk about the tubing colors for these in case, like me, you were worried about getting them mixed up. So when I say side or middle, what I mean by that is, like, here's one you can actually see. Side is this one that's closest to us. If I can, it's really hard to, so that's side. Then the other one that's in the middle kind of connects down in between. It's over here, you can't really see it, but it's down that way. Let's just go with this one first. First, you have yellow. So this is the yellow tube going to this on the end. So the side. And then you have a red-ish looking tube going to the middle connection for that one. This one on this side is white. So that's the white tube. It's so dirty, but it is white. And that one only has one connection, so it's just either triggered or not. And so that shuts off or switches between the outside air and inside air. Then this one is orange and blue, but which one is connected where, I don't know. So it looks like blue is connected to the middle one. Yeah, it's so hard to see, but you can see the orange tube is connected to the end, and then the blue tube is on the middle connection. So that's what that looks like. Really kind of a pain to get this all connected because there's so many different little linkages and, well, not linkages, but bits that have to be connected to it with the tubing and the electronics, and then the pull cord for the hot and cold that go out there. So if I turn on the truck now, it'll probably be harder to hear me. So I'll turn this all the way up. You can hear, or hopefully you can hear, that there's no there is no blower motor right now. And now you can hear the blower motor's on. That's because of the relay, that when you shut it off, it should actuate. And that little bit of that's the vacuum shutting that valve. Because then if I turn it on again, it goes back to the outside air. But then when I turn it off, it actually lifts up. I just find it really fascinating to look at the little valves doing their thing. Unfortunately on mine, the vent or back vent flipper valve in here, right there, is malfunctioning a lot of the time right now, and I'm hoping once I start driving this truck, it'll actually work more. When I was dealing with taking out the whole blower motor, I actually took out all of the vents. I left this vent, but like I remove all of this and that and everything, because there were coins and rat poop and all this junk in there, pine needles, and so I cleaned that all out, and then I coated things in Vaseline, some of the stuff like the flaps, and then I oiled with 3-in-1 silicone oil on the tops, because mine were super rusty. So I'm hoping once I'm actually running heat and stuff in here, because this is the first time the heat has been working in this thing since who knows how long, and hopefully once I start running it, it'll go back to working condition. So what'll happen for me, ooh, it actually worked right now. But sometimes, and I'm actually getting warm air right now since I have it on warm. I'm actually feeling warm air. But I've been having it a lot where it gets stuck and only this vent operates because that valve has to be closed or shut or whatever. I don't know which way really to put it, but it can't be having this one blow if you want defrost. So now I'm getting defrost. So far the defrost or heat, so defrost is obviously defrost. This one in the middle does defrost in feet, and feet is heat. So heat means it's coming out of the bottom. So right now I'm actually getting both. Then heat is supposed to be just the feet, which is really, really strong. Yeah, it shut off. And you shouldn't get anything out of these. High-low means that it's operating between this and the feet. So it's sort of passing a bit of air between both. And then AC is just this vent, or all of the top vents. And it should shut off the bottom here. And then vent, seems like it mostly just operates these, but without the air compressor on. So I'm assuming vent is just simply these is what it's supposed to do. If you're getting stuff out of here, it's probably because of your thing isn't working like mine. I don't know, it seems like vent is just supposed to be these. And it's supposed to turn off the air compressor. Because if you look underneath here, there's little tiny copper contacts that actually touch or don't on this little plastic wheel, and one of them is only on if it's on AC, which is obviously to connect the AC compressor. So that's what the AC and vent are, is just switching the AC or vent. And then if you have it on cool all the way, you'll hear a little, or you'll feel a little bit of a click, and it opens that valve down there. And now no matter if you have it on heat or whatever, it's pulling air in from the cab right now. And it's not going through the outer vent. It's not pulling air from that outer vent. So now no matter what you're operating, it's pulling from the inside air. Then obviously if you have a mixture between these two, it's just sort of slightly actuating or not that flap that switches between heat and the AC coil. And when I say switching between the heat or the AC coil, it pulls through both if it's on heat. So if it's on warm, it's pulling through both the AC and the heat coil. So if you had the AC on, you would be getting both heat and AC at the same time. So that's how it works. It's definitely an interesting system. I'm really happy though that I got it working for the most part. Fingers crossed. I'm not sure about this valve in here, because it still sometimes will stick if I have it on vent. And then I'm going to turn down the heat. I'm actually getting cooked. So if I try to turn it just to heat, oh, there it did it. You heard it was probably a bit late, but it actually did work. So my theory is that the flap that's inside is a bit sticky, because it feels like this valve wants to work, but it's just a little bit too hard for it sometimes. Either way, though, I really do like this system because it's pretty neat that it actually has all these little valves and stuff that work. And maybe next summer I'll invest some money into the air conditioning and might actually revive that. I'm not sure how big of a priority that is for me since I'm in Washington State and I don't really get a ton of heat. So, yeah, so we'll just see. I don't really know a ton on air conditioning, so I can't really provide much info on that right now. Anyway, I hope this video might help some of you who have issues with this system or are curious like I was as to how it operates. And just let me know if I can help you out at all, and I'll see if I can dig up info. I also want to just give you one last look at this diagram in case it was useful. There's an orange-red on the top that's actuating the relay. Orange, which is power, because it's basically this is coming from your fuse for your blower motor power, and then it splits off to this orange, and then that is to the AC compressor, just straight run out there to wherever your AC compressor would be. And then there's a red-black wire that should come from this and connect to your normal blower motor power up here. And then you have your different speeds going to there with the resistor, and then your power, and then this is also going to ground, obviously. So, not that tricky, but anyway, hopefully this helps, and let me know if I can help you at all. Also, this isn't going to work unless you have this grounded, which they do show. I connected mine down here. I have a screw, which that's just from the radio and stuff. That's where it was grounded. I might make another ground connection though. One thing I kind of wish is that there would be a straight run ground from the battery, because the chassis on the truck, when it's getting rusty and old, is not that great of a ground connection sometimes, but it's been working okay, so I won't mess with it and tempt fate trying to rearrange anything right now. Anyway, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.